All right. Hello out there. Hi, everybody. Aaron from Solace here, back with you for yet another Solace Office Hours. It is Wednesday, September 25th, 2024. Thank you very much for joining, whether you're watching live on LinkedIn or on YouTube or watching the replay, thank you very much for that. So today's episode is going to be not like a full-blown product demo that we have been doing for some time, like with the SAP stuff and the event portal stuff, but a couple of really cool little things that I think are going to help developers and people new to Solace learn and use Solace a little bit more easily. Learn about our smart topics, our hierarchical multi-level topics, our wildcards, and some of the very cool things that make routing and moving, exchanging data in a publish subscribe way in Solace a lot easier. So to help me out with that and to do most of the work as usual, I am going to be joined by my two colleagues, Giri and Shweta. I'm going to bring you onto the stage. Let's switch the screen. There we go. Hello. Hello out there.
Hey, Aaron.
Aaron.
All right. So, why don't you introduce yourself? Where are you joining us from right now?
I can start. So I'm Shweta Mazumder. I am one of the product managers in the product team. And right now I'm in Ottawa.
All right.
Aaron, I'm your colleague, Giri Venkatesan.
I know who you are, but tell the people who you are.
Of course, I'm Giri. I'm based out of Bangalore. I'm a part of a developer advocate team doing a lot of fun stuff.
That's right. And I am also on the developer advocate team, and I am back in Singapore after the summer back in Canada. I am back in the Singapore office, and it is late here. It is 10 p.m. So because we are doing a global, we're doing a Canadian, Canada, India, Asia, Singapore live stream. Yeah, we have hopefully a lot of people are tuning in and joining us. If you're out there, say hello, put up in the chat. We're always happy to hear where people are joining from. Say hi. So we already actually have a few comments. Hey, look, it's Paul Nash. Hello, Paul. I just saw you a couple hours ago. Hello, welcome. Thank you. Mark is here as well. Good to see you. And of course, thank you. Of course, Aaron. Well, that's nice. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about a variety of Try Me applications, right? So people that know Solace, people that have used our broker are probably familiar that within the PubSub Manager, our GUI tool for managing the broker, there is this little web app tool called Try Me, which allows you to publish and subscribe. And we have added some enhancements to that, which Shweta is going to be showing us in just a second. And then in addition to that, Giri has gone off and written a console application for those that like not GUIs, I guess. I'm a big console fan, a big CLI fan. And it is called the Solace Try Me. We shortened it down to STM. So you'll probably hear us talking about STM quite a bit. And Giri is going to show us all about that in just towards the second half of the episode. And it's really kind of just trying to get people to learn about topics a little bit more easily, to be able to publish and subscribe a little bit more easily, and to just, to help developers out on their journey, right? So that's, I think that's what we're doing today, right? Right, guys?
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Okay. Hey, you're very quiet. I'm doing most of the talking here. One more shout out from Carol. Hey, hello. Thank you. Welcome to the stream. Good to have you here. Okay. So, anybody else that's out there, put in a chat, say hello. We'll give you a shout out. But I'm going to hide this silly banner because it takes up a lot of room. I think Shweta, we're going to go first with you. Is that right? So let's share your screen here. And by the way, we are live. We're doing this live. If you have questions, put it in the chat, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on LinkedIn. I'm going to double check the Solace community while I'm doing this because there could be questions there. One thing I want to mention, I'm going to have to hide you first. Actually, no, I don't have to hide you, Shweta. But we are 2 months away, 3 months away, 2.5 months away from our EDA Summit virtual event. And we are looking for participants. If you haven't checked it out yet, please head over to edasummit.com. I've even made a cool kind of background image here, but you can see it's kind of obscured by our webcams here. But yeah, head over to edasummit.com. It is your one-stop shop for learning about event-driven technologies, not just from Solace people, because you hear from us all the time, but from our customers, from people, industry leaders and influencers out there. So check that out. Yeah, I don't know if any of you have submitted a talk yet, but I might do. I don't know. I don't like giving talks. I'm happy just doing office hours. So anyway, head over to edasummit.com. Now, Shweta, I'm going to share your screen and let's go.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. So I'm going to start a little bit about talking about topics and how you can actually make your topics as smart topics. And then I'm going to head over to the demo to show you how you could actually use the Try Me in the GUI to build smart topics and ultimately see your events, flowing through the publisher and the subscriber. So we have topics. Topics are the building blocks of our Solace EDA architecture. So by publishing and subscribing to the topic, you ensure that the events are flowing and you successfully send and receive the events. What makes topics smart topics is how you write your topics. So think topics as an English sentence, right? In an English sentence, you would see noun, and then you will have a bunch of verbs, and then you will have a bunch of other words, which ultimately come together and make a meaning out of that English sentence. So very similar concept is with smart topics as well, right? If you start with building your topics with a noun and then follow it with a verb, and then start putting together all the properties, you ultimately make a topic which is understandable by anybody. Like a person seeing that topic would immediately understand what's the type of metadata of the event that is flowing from the subscriber to flowing from the publisher to the subscriber without digging up a lot. Another key details and importance about building smart topics is that when you start building your topics from noun and then follow it with the verb and properties, you ensure that you are not branching your topic hierarchy from the very top. Nouns are generally stay very intact on most of the topics in your system, right? For say in an example here, it's you can see the topic here is a flight example, and if a flight is from a particular airline, and then it does a job, which is it takes off from a certain airport and lands into an airport, right? So if you start with the airline name, which is obviously it's not going to change often in all of your topics, you make sure that you are not branching out right from the level 0. You start with the noun and then you add the verb onto it after that. So the verb is also something that can be same for a bunch of topics that your applications are subscribing to, right? For example, here the flight has its wheels up, it's ready for takeoff. All right, so you can have like 100 topics which has the same noun and the verb, and then you eventually branch out into the unique identifiers of the topic. For example, the flight number, and the airport name. If you have if you want to build a customer specific flight topic, you would then branch out to your customer name and etc. So by following this pattern, you ensure that you're not making the system really working too hard, and you optimize your system in a system level, that you branch out gradually and naturally instead of like branching out right away from the top.
Yeah, it's like in our best practices, I'm sure we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but typically, you have your things that are less changey, less variable, less dynamic towards the left, as towards the root of the topic. As you said, airline, it could be the domain of the business that you're talking about. And then as you go further and further right, that's the more variable things, right? So this is just meant to give people like kind of the concept of how to structure in which to kind of think about building their topic hierarchy, right? This is an iterative process that what do you want to be able to filter on, describe within your topic structure. And this gives you a good way to do it, this noun, verb, properties kind of approach, right?
Yeah, it makes more intuitive and easier for somebody building the topics to understand, like, where do I start from, right? It gives you a right away start, like start with a noun and then add a verb and then think about the properties while you're building it.
There could be more things, as you kind of think about later on, but this as a first cut, this is a really kind of useful technique, right? So
yeah. All right, so now I'm gonna head over to the demo to show you how you can actually use the Try Me to,
Can we talk about your subscriptions there for a second? I just want to actually, but I thought you were going to describe
Sure.
your some of the subs you had there. So on the left we have airline, wheels up, or the verb, and then more interesting stuff. So on the left, on the right, we have these cool subscriptions where we put a star at the airline level. So it could be any airline that's arriving at that gate, and then star Berlin. That's a very cool. I mean, just by leveraging wildcards in different places within the topic hierarchy, like if publishers are sticking to this particular topic hierarchy, these subscribers are going to receive exactly the type of data that they want. The broker is going to filter it and give them exactly the things that we are subscribing to here. LHR.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Topic. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about wildcarding while I show the Try Me. We have a cool enhancement that actually shows you how to wildcard in the Try Me. So yeah, wildcarding ultimately helps you to subscribe to a certain, do not drill down to that level where you have to be very specific of your topic, but you can use wildcard and actually subscribe to multiple topics if a single subscriber, right?
Yep. Cool.
All right.
Okay.
So let's head over to the Try Me demo. So I have a local broker connected, and I'm just going to connect to my publisher and subscriber.
If people don't know what this is the PubSub Manager on Software Broker. This is typically on port 8080 if you're the hardware. This is on port 80. If you're in the cloud, it's 1443 or something like that. But if you have access to your Solace broker, you can log into it, and then the Try Me there on the left, about 3/4 of the way down, will show you this screen here.
Yes, and the new announcement we have is we have a topic builder here, right here on your face. You can see it. And then it also shows you, gives you examples of wildcards, which helps you understand, how do you start wildcarding, right? Before you take a deep dive in building your topic. So I'm going to show you a sample example of point of sale system. Say if the name of my retail point of sale, for example, or a store, for example, I'm going to do Acme retail here, and then think a customer is buying some products in that point of sale system, right, in that retail store. So how would we go about building the topic? So I've given the name of the retail point of sale system here, which is a noun, and then I want to think about verb, right? So what would be the verb for that? Maybe store operations, right? So it is a store operation, point of sale. When a customer is buying something from the store, it's definitely a store operation. And then you, go start adding the properties. For example, look, what type of order is it? It is a retail order. For example, it's not an inventory order. And then how did the customer, pay in the point of sale system? Is it customer paid, or is it through mobile app? For example, here I'm just going to go ahead with customer paid, and then let's think about what would be the mode of payment. And the mode of payment, say, for example, I'm going to give cash. So this is how, keeping in mind a noun, verb, and then adding the properties, I put down my topic here, very basic topic, and then I can generate the topic. The moment you hit generate here, your topic is built up right for you to publish, right? So on your right, if you see under the subscriber there, the GUI automatically gives you some examples of wildcards. So here it's giving me, if I want to subscribe to all the events that is flowing through that point of sale system, I can easily go and subscribe to this. So now I'm gonna copy paste a sample payload. By default, there is there is a generated sample payload. You can always get your own sample payload. And so right now I'm subscribed to all the events that is flowing through this Acme retail point of sale system, right? By wildcarding. I'm not really typing all the other identifiers in the topic. I'm just subscribing it with a greater than sign.
As
So
long
now,
as it matches that first level, the greater than will match anything that comes after it, right? So you're listening
exactly.
to everything that starts with Acme Retail on the first level.
Exactly. So here you can see, like, I've published my first message. Voila. So now what I want to do is I necessarily don't want to subscribe to everything, but I want to subscribe to store operations, and I want to subscribe to only the transactions, say for example, which are customer paid. But what I don't care is if it's a cash transaction. Say I have another transaction which is
Credit
here.
card, debit card.
Yeah, I'm
could
going to
be
go ahead and
anything.
change like debit, right? And it doesn't matter to me. I just want to make sure that I subscribe to all the store operation transaction that is paid by a customer. So then here you go. I'm subscribing. I got my message in the subscriber side.
Well, you still have to click. You still have to click the subscribe button, right? You're still subscribed to everything. So click that.
There you
get
go.
rid of the other one.
So I'm gonna
There you go.
So I got rid of the previous subscribe, and then I subscribed to the new one, which is all transaction, debit, credit, everything. And then I publish, and there you go. This is my third message received here. So now let's quickly try something very different, right? So I'm already subscribed to store operations. I don't want to say subscribe to store operations anymore. Maybe I want to subscribe to inventory ops, and I don't want to do customer. Maybe I want to do employee, right? Employee order. I'm going to go ahead and build my topic, generate, but keep in mind here, I'm getting examples that I can subscribe to receive the event, but just for the sake of understanding, I'm not going to subscribe to that. I'm still subscribed to my store operations, right? And then now what's going to happen? When I hit publish, obviously I'm not going to get the message. So because I'm not subscribed to that,
wrong topic.
Okay. For me to get the event from that subscription, I need to go here, click subscribe. I can always, play around a little bit, like tweak here. If I want to get everything that is inventory ops, I'm just gonna subscribe and cancel the previous subscription and then publish, and there you go. You can see the fourth message. So this is how basically the very basic concept of, subscribing to a topic, building a smart topic, and then ultimately using wildcard to publish to your topic works. And with that, that's actually pretty much it, Aaron, that I wanted to show.
This enhancement is really trying to get a lot of people use Try Me. Obviously, one of the first things they do when they first start a Solace broker is just say, "Can I send a message?" Right? So here's this Try Me, a little web app, a little WebSocket app where you can connect the publisher and the subscriber. I mean, it looks they're on the same page, but these are two separate WebSocket connections into the actual broker. And the default topic has been for the longest time. What was it, like Try Me or something? Just
exactly.
Just a plain string. And like Solace, we've been promoting dynamic hierarchical topics for years and years and years. So I'm thrilled that we are now presenting here in the GUI where developers, where architects, users of Solace first actually try it. They already start thinking about how can I build a topic that is descriptive, that's dynamic, that is hierarchical, and that has some structure. That kind of ties into our best practices, our learning center, right here where people are actually trying it. So I'm quite happy that this enhancement has been made. So it helps people think about topics design right away, right?
Right, exactly. And that's a very good point, Aaron. Like, it actually ties exactly to our best practices, which you can, go to Solace documentation. If you go to the get started area, which is right on your left, on the very first thing you are going to click, if you go to the best practices and then, topic architecture best practices, it basically ties very exactly, tightly with the UI now. So you can actually read the best practice, try your hands on to get started, and then maybe try Giri's tool to get a deeper dive into publishing and subscribing to events.
So shout out to Michael Carty from our architecture team at Solace. Like, he spent quite a bit of time updating this topic best practices. It was a big document that was written a couple years ago, and he spent a lot of time over the summer updating it with a bunch of new and cool use cases and kind of make it really, I don't know, flesh it out. So shout out to him. If you haven't checked it out in the last 6 months, I would highly suggest just go over there. I mean, even as a Solace person, it's good to read this and to kind of learn maybe some different use cases that maybe you hadn't thought of, or different use cases for Solace topics, and maybe some of our best practices. So I have a question, Shweta. What happens if you click on that learn more about Solace best practices? Does that link somewhere?
Actually, yeah, it
where
does.
Does that go?
It does links to the Solace best practices. Here,
you don't even have
here.
to.
Yes.
You don't even have to search for it. Look at
Yep.
that, everybody. Okay, I didn't know that. I was hoping that button works. So
yeah,
excellent.
that worked.
And what version of Broker are you running, by the way? If you scroll down the bottom left, what version is
yeah,
this?
I'm running 10.8.1, but this is actually available from 10.8.0. So yeah, now feel free to try and use it. And we try to make it as simple as we can for our understanding. Like, Michael even came up with the great idea of color coding. So it helps in a visual point of view. It helps you to understand exactly what's a noun. It's red, so okay, it's a noun, right? So the small little things helps really go a long way.
If people don't want to like be constrained by our little red, blue, orange boxes, like if you're just publishing on a topic that you get from somewhere else, or that's very simple, can you just overwrite it in the lower panel there? Like, can you just blow that away and say, I'm publishing on ABC, and that's it?
Yeah. So I just copy pasted a sample, and you can actually go here and type anything you want. And the best part, the cool part is actually, as you type, it's gonna start giving you the example wildcards that you can actually directly subscribe to. But you don't necessarily have to subscribe to it. You can always type your own wildcard the way you want to.
Okay. So I publish on A/B/C a lot of times. What happens if you type in that?
Let's do that.
I mean, that's not best practices by any stretch, but does A/B/C? Well, we get okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
There are some suggestions that could work.
Yeah. Okay. And if you like, you go ahead and type if you want to do, I don't know, like there you go. Yep. And that would match ABCD. I mean, who exactly.
knows, right?
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
All right. Very cool. Thank you. All right. That's great. So this is available now. This is out in 10.8, 8.0 or 8.1, which is our current LTS version. If you sign up for Solace Cloud, if you download the latest Docker container, it's the end of September. That is the current version. 10.9, I guess, will be coming out soonish. I'm not sure when, but yeah, this is available now. So check it out. And this is going to segue nicely into our next bit of the presentation. This topic builder is great for helping you kind of think about this dynamic topic structure, about maybe best practices. It's perhaps a little simplistic. Some of our more production use cases might have 8 or 9 levels, but this is a great way to start thinking. And for one-off topics, if you're just publishing, I need to publish a flight update or one retail order update like we have here, the Try Me is great. But what happens if you want to generate like a stream of data, a variety of topics? You want to give it, I have a new broker. I want to write a consumer that can look at some of this data. I just want a variety of data that kind of matches my particular use case, whether that's point of sale retail terminals, a retail bank, perhaps a flight tracker or a bus arrival system. The next thing we're going to show is Giri's tool, which is the Solace event feeds, which allows you to do that with one or two clicks. We're going to be able to actually inject streams of data into your event broker. And Giri, I'm going to share your screen here. Oh, you stopped sharing it. Reshare your screen, please. It went away just when I was about to click on it. Carol says, "Hey, thanks, Mark. From a UX perspective, this is very handy." Yes, it is. It's making people think about best practices and topic design right where they're actually playing with the broker, right? Rather than having to go off to a web page on our solace.com, docs.com, docs.solace.com to learn about this stuff. So, Nick, thanks. Nice job. thumbs up. Thanks, Mark, backstage for driving the comments and clicking on things. All right, Giri, I'm going to share your screen.
Yeah.
Zoom. There we go. So, hey, GitHub. All right, so let's talk about your Solace Try Me. Now, I said this was all about Try Me. This is the STM. This is your console app that we called Solace Try Me, and it's available. Here it is. So go for it.
Right. The first, the comment I would love to make on this UI Try Me. For many years we have been talking about making this tool more demonstrative, the whole concepts of the noun, verb, and all those things. And I'm pretty happy to see that the color-coded organization of these levels, and more than anything for me, the suggestions, right? What kind of subscriptions you can have based on what you defined as a topic starter. Now, with that, I'm going to segue into this part. When you looked at the UI Try Me, we were able to publish and subscribe and see things in action, but only one event at a time, right? It's good, but could there be more? We're not just talking about learning PubSub. What if we want to kind of engage in some serious activity? I want to stream a bunch of events together, right? And then basically, you also have constructs. I want to have one subscriber with a subscription with a wildcard, another subscriber with a different kind of settings on the subscription. So we are basically getting into the game of how does this fan out looks like? How do I have multiple subscribers playing the ball with a single publisher publishing stream of events?
Yeah, like that Try Me is great for like if I have to like do 10 different airlines and 800 different flight numbers and 20 different airports, that's going to be a lot of manual clicking and typing, right? Like to build that like level of topic detail. And if I wanted to have multiple subscribers to show those wildcarded things, I'm going to have to have multiple browsers open, right? I'm going to have to browser one for this, one for that, one for that, because I need the little web app. So that's where having a console app that you can tab and tile is maybe going to be a little bit better.
Absolutely. A console app is the most friendly one for anybody who loves coding. Touching a terminal and doing something once in a day makes my day, at least. So I'm going to talk about this STM tool that we have developed, basically building on the UI Try Me, which is the predecessor that has been around for a long time. We want to add more features, make it more dynamic, fitting the real world use cases, not from a production perspective, but almost like a testing, goofing around, playing, and validating your business logic, controlled environment for you to generate events, right? So that's where this comes in. And this is the GitHub. Please make a note. If not, reach out to us on community. We can help you with anything.
Don't even. Just search for Solace Try Me. I've tried it a bunch of times, and it shows up right near the top. So if you want to try STM, or as Tamimi and I decided, we're going to call it STIM because STIM sounds cool. Just Google Solace Try Me, and it should be number 2 or number 3. Yeah,
number 2. And in fact, this is a part of our documentation, which kind of absorbed as part of your getting started. Third step is to set up the Solace Try Me tool.
You're in the docs? Wow, you're official. That's cool.
Yes.
Nicely
is
done.
Really fun. I didn't know that. I've not explored. So the point is, let me just kind of quickly go through this. Now, talking about tool, obviously, let's start with where you can get it. Right? Downloading is it's available in the Brew. You can do a Mac Brew tab and Brew install, or the Linux apt-get thing, and also the binary directly downloaded from the GitHub. You go into the releases and get your fitting binary that's suitable for your platform, Linux, Windows, and so on. Right?
Before we get into like downloading it and installing it, though, we were talking about how to generate feeds into your broker, and we do have a publicly available version of this already running, right? So there we go. Yes, that's what I want to see. So this is feeds.solace.dev. So part of our developer portal, solace.dev, we have a bunch of subdomains on there. So this is Giri's kind of special spot here where you have the ability to inject feeds into your broker, whether it's localhost, whether you're running in the cloud, as long as, I guess, your browser has access to the message bus, right? That's the network connectivity part, because we're doing this from the browser, right?
That is correct. So each of these styles correspond to a kind of a business context. As the name says, it's core banking event feed, and this one is shipping surveys, and then fraud detection, and so on, right? For this
Star Wars,
I'm going to take the point of sale system. Right? Okay. So it's already pre-configured feed with all the definitions of what events kind of defined there and what topics they are publishing on. The only thing that we need is at runtime connecting this feed to a broker and start streaming events, right?
Yep.
So second step, connect to a broker. I have my
Where am I
broker running on
publishing
my local.
to? Yeah, that's right.
Is it?
Yeah.
And you have the ability to switch and play with the protocol support on the broker. You can connect to WebSocket or REST or our standard web MQTT if you choose to. So I've pre-configured all these parameters that's ready to go. I'm connected. Now you're looking into the feed. What does it contain?
Can you zoom in a little bit there so we can see that topic? I want to, yeah, there. Okay, so it's a bit more complicated here.
No, I'm building on the same thing that Shweta showed in the UI.
Yep,
the same
a little bit more complicated then. So, yeah.
Acme retail, first level, store ops, retail order. But the fun part is retail order web, store location, customer ID, order ID. These are variables, what we call as a topic variable, right?
Yeah.
The whole purpose of defining such a thing is to bring in variability into your topic, basically dynamism into your topic when you're publishing events. So in one of the event, I could have a retail order web as, for example, before I say anything, let me start streaming. For example, I'm going here. I started the feed, and you can see here, this event has a retail order, customer completed. The second one has online completed. Third one has customer initiated, online initiated. These are all enumerations that are defined to be supported at that level.
This is the verb part of our topic, right? So, so your noun, I guess, is actually 3 levels, right? Because it's kind of domain, or store name, part of the business, noun or something. I guess it depends, right? I mean, it's kind of up to how you want to define this thing, right? So it depends how big your business is.
Root topic, right? The
root topic.
From there, we can derive out to something meaningful. And rest of the things that you see, these are all the information corresponding to what we saw here, right? The the retail order web, which is a variable, you see it's changing, and then store location, which is store ID, a customer ID, and an order ID. And you can see the variation in these things. So instead of just relying on one event to check your business logic, how about a stream of events dynamically reflecting the business scenarios? It's still random for sure, but it kind of incoherently aligns with what is that you're trying to do in terms of PubSub. Now, if you have different services listening to this, and each of them focus on a particular aspect, somebody wants to operate on customer completed events, or some other service wants to operate on customer initiated events, they could subscribe to appropriate wildcard based subscription and get only those events. So that's the gist of it. Now, can we go to the
part of the reason why, like one of the big reasons why we decided to build this thing is because when you first, if you're learning about microservices, you're learning about REST, you're like, you download Postman and you give it a try. One of the first things they tell you to do is like, do a get from this URL, do a post to this URL, and you get some response, right? You get just a 200 OK. Maybe you get some Star Wars quote. Maybe you get some, I don't know, ASCII art. It doesn't matter, right? You interact with something and you get something back. And it's very easy because these REST web services are just out there running and responding to things. So as a developer first trying to use REST, it's very easy to kind of get that initial first hello world type feedback. But with a publishing API, in order to start seeing data, you have to start, you can't just subscribe because you have to write the publisher first, right? Like in order to see data on your broker, you have to start publishing data into that broker, or maybe have a public broker that you can connect to. And we do have a few of those. Like we had the taxi demo for the last couple of years where people could connect and listen to the taxi feed. But now we are like, okay, as getting started as a developer, I just want to like connect somewhere and listen to a stream of data that looks kind of correct. That's what this is for, right? It's like I can now I don't have to write a publisher in order to write a subscriber to see things. I can write the subscriber, use this tool, and just inject data into my broker to get started much easier, right? So
totally agree. What the Perl did for the REST world, Perl something get post one-liner, the STM can offer a similar help from the PubSub perspective, the way to say it.
Right? We got a question before you move on there, Giri, from Dirted. I don't know. Hi, Giri. What is an example of an adjective in a topic? That'd be part of the metadata, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that's what
An
the
adjective.
last section that we cover as properties, right? You can have multiple properties. So
Yeah.
you can slap the adjective in any level after the noun and verb.
Or it could be an adverb, it could be a verb modifier,
Sure.
like the verb is order paid, but what was it, quickly or poorly? I don't know. Like these would be parts of the metadata, right? As you move kind of further to the right, you get more and more specific about the type of data that you're describing within your topic. And again, I highly encourage everybody to check out the topic best practices, because it really kind of goes through when you start thinking about building a topic. I have my payload. Here is the data that I want to send. The topic exposes the pieces of information from that payload that you might want to be able to route and filter on, right? Like what I want to put a star on, what I want to listen to all the customer initiated ones, or all the ones from store 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You probably, in your payload, you might have 30 different fields, but not all of them belong in the topic, because not all of them you might want to route or filter on. So, yeah, adjective. I mean, these are just kind of Englishy words we're applying to the topic, but essentially, it's the topic design is what do you as a architect of your distributed system, how do you want the data to move around without having to do content-based routing? You don't want to have to look at the payload, because that's slow. You want the broker to look at the topic and make a routing decision based on that. So,
well said, Aaron.
Thank you. I talked too much for that was actually directed at you.
Perfect.
All right. So we've seen the event feed. This is available now. I mean, it's still a little bit in development, people. We haven't quite launched it yet. But go to feeds.solace.com. There is information there about how you can actually contribute your own feed. The STM tool that Giri is showing off has the ability to build these things. So we're not going to get into it today, because we're going to do another office hours that we go into much more detail on it. We're going to talk about STM from the publish and subscribe kind of perspective. But check out the GitHub if you want all the information. But you can build your own feed if you don't want to use one of these. But it's all you got your README updated there, Giri. It's all up to date. Good. Look at that. All right. Yes.
Pretty detailed README, because there's a documentation that goes along with the parameter, which is the part of the console application, and then samples. Now it's time for me to show the console. Can I switch?
Yeah. Yeah. I can see it. It's
so
small.
I got my STM installed. All right. Yep. So all I need to do is just typing in STM. Let's see what it shows.
So you've either downloaded this, like you can actually do, there's brew install. If you update your apt, you can do an apt get if you're on Ubuntu, but you can just download it. I mean, download it and run it as a exe, as a Linux distro, or as a Mac executable.
Correct. Yeah. I did a brew install. So happily put that in the right place, and I don't have to worry. I just type STM anywhere I want.
Yep.
And as usual, it shows you the commands. And each command carries a lot of subcommands. But without going there, I want to highlight one thing. We are continuously investing in this tool to make it more appropriate. So I can see I'm on version 0.51, but there's a new version already available, 0.52, right? So it kind of gives you a hint that if you're using apt-get or brew, just update the binary bundle. That's all it takes. Okay. So the basic options are H and HE, something that I want to highlight, that each of these commands kind of supported with these options. H is a direct help, and HE is examples. Sometimes
what about help more? There's also HM. That's an important one, I think.
Yeah, I know. When you get into the command, for example, STM
sorry.
-H, and you get the basic help. The core parameters that you require in order to run your command, right?
Yep.
And then HM will. Don't get scared. There's a truckload of parameters.
HM is like, so H is like the kind of the basic stuff, and then HM is like, now we're getting a little more serious, right? Like the more help.
Serious. How to control your publish properties, message settings, publish settings, and so on. So without scaring anybody else right now, I'm going to go. So we talked about this STM, and you have these commands, which are send, receive, request, reply. So let's focus on the first 4 commands. That's the scope for today. These are the messaging commands. The remaining thing, which is all about the feed, we will definitely do one more session on this. So the send, as the name says, send events and receive events. This is where you see the console equivalents of the web UI. Try me.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And request
very
reply
similar. Yeah. This is a little publisher and the subscriber component, right?
Correct.
And it's
Correct.
yeah. Okay.
So I want to go back to where we started with. So we have this feed that we shared, right? So I'm going to clear this console.
Okay.
All right.
Is there a clear?
There is. I connect and okay, I'm going to publish. But as part of publishing, I want to control the events, either 20 events or one event, 1 second interval, whatever it is, that's fine. I'm also going to make it look pretty. And before I go, so I am creating a subscriber, Acme Retail Store Apps, customer completed, and any value for rest of the properties. That's one window. And then
so
another one I have
receive -T. -T is topic, and that's your subscription. All right. Yep. Got it.
And the other one, I have a wildcard at the verb. It could be customer paid, customer initiated, whatever not. That's the last one. So I'm having 3 subscribers starting up with their own topics. With the focus on customer completed versus customer paid and retail order. All right. So
okay.
I think I might have made some mess here. Let me fix that. Okay. So I'm starting all these guys.
So this is the STM receiver.
Yeah, but please ignore this mangled text because of the window.
Yeah, it's too zoomed in. Yeah,
cool like this. Right. So now I'm going to go get my publisher's feed started. Let's see. So the wildcard gets all the events beautifully. There's no question. Now, this one subscribes for this retail order customer paid, so it gets only the customer paid events. So essentially, what you're looking at is feed publishes a stream of events, and your STM receive, by appropriating this subscription with the correct wildcards, it's getting a subset of the streamed events. Does that make sense?
That does. I mean, so we're just showing it with the feed handler just to kind of segue into, if you want to build your a stream of data, you can use a Solace feed handler here, the feeds.solace.dev. But this thing can listen to anything, right? I mean, it's just an easy way to echo in a pretty print console app kind of way what's going across the message broker, right? So you could be publishing with a JMS application or a Python app or a REST application or anything. And your little STM receive app could just listen to greater than and literally just echo everything going through the broker, right? You're trying to show the various the hierarchical topics and the smart topics kind of support smart topics. Yeah. But that's the whole point of this thing is it's like a quick and easy way. And for people that know SDK Perf, and if you're a user of Solace, you definitely should know SDK Perf. Very powerful command line tool, performance test tool, has every API switch under the sun. It was originally built by our QA team, to test our APIs. And every, field person at Solace knows it inside out. But it doesn't pretty print. If you're looking at JSON or XML text, it just does this ASCII binary dump. It kind of looks mangly. So having something that prints it out nicely, as you can see here, you're not doing 10,000 messages per second. If you're just kind of publishing and you just want to see stuff going echo on the console, that's exactly what this app is for. At least the receive, right? Just a reasonable rate of messages displayed nicely on the screen. That's what we can see here.
It's like a controlled way of running your subscription, a subscriber rather. You want to receive events from a particular stream with a subscription. And you can have fan in, meaning multiple publishers publishing. Can I get all those events? So basically, closer to a scenario-based testing, streaming combined. So it's time for me to talk about the parameters. These few parameters are very critical. So
STM receive, I assume, is the easy one, right? That's just basically connect and dump to the console, and that's pretty much it. There's not too much there.
Right.
Yeah,
there's
the sender is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What's the one thing?
The output mode. Do you want a full dump or only properties, or just the minimal minimalistic information like the size and type and so on, right? So I want to start out with the send.
The send. The more,
yeah, that's where everything starts, right? There are 4 ways you can input the payload that goes along with the published event. When you run it from the console. So STM send, and you can type in the message payload using this std, the message property. And then if you have a file that's already loaded, now we are not looking at the variability on the payload. Rather, take this file and then stream it 20 times on different topics. Some kind of a testing involved there. If that is the case, you could use the file as an option and then specify the file name, right? Basically, you take the file and start streaming events on different topics. And this is default.
If you're publishing like a small little, text hello world, obviously -m hello world is easy to type. But if you're publishing a 1K JSON blob, it's better to just stick that into a file and reference the file and say, use this as my payload, right? Because I don't want to type that out every time. And obviously the file makes it easier to just, call it programmatically. I could have 10 different files with 10 payloads and just kind of loop through them, I guess.
One thing I'll also tell you is publishing an empty message. I mean, you kind of help me out,
Nope, that definitely shows up. A lot of people, like, the topic is the payload almost, like the topic can be descriptive enough that you don't need a payload. We've definitely run into this, especially in IoT use cases, which are bandwidth constrained, and like you're not publishing, I've seen 20 kilobyte XML payloads on one end of the spectrum, or even bigger, like maybe 2 megabyte image files or some kind of like really big computation, all the way down to like the IoT messages, which is, 5 topic levels, no payload, and the topic is a payload. So yeah, having an empty message option is useful. But the default is cool. I like your default message. It's a little JSON kind of current status.
You know what I do behind the scene? Behind the scene, I take the current CPU load and memory available and storage available and package something. So still you get a dynamism in the data.
Exactly.
Yeah. The second setting that's somewhat important is the count. Just by running a command, we don't want to do one event publish. That's the default, right? That will equate it to a web UI tribing. But for here, we want to have control over how many events I want to publish. Maybe 100, maybe 500. But I would never tested with 10,000 though, for example, right? You could, still works.
Yeah.
And you want to control what's the interval between these publishes. I want it to be delayed by 1 second or 5 seconds. Maybe you have a scenario testing. You want the order placed event to go every 5 seconds, and then order approved goes out every 10 seconds. So scenario testing and this kind of simulation, this interval might help how you run your STM send, right? Yep. And the output mode is the one that I was talking about, right? The default one is just print the payload dump in a pretty fine manner. Or I don't want to see the payload. I just want to include the properties alone.
If your payload is 20K, maybe I just want to see the properties because that's the more important part of the message for me. So
what happens there is the payload will be presented as the number of bytes. So very simple version, right?
Yep.
And this is all pretty high level, or other parameters by depth. If you choose to, you can do that.
Parameters by depth. Yeah, all right.
These are the examples I was talking about. Now, some of the examples what you would typically use. I want to publish with a payload from a file. STM send, the topic, and the file name, right? Cool. So the HE is an option. Please make a note that will give you most often the most used use cases. Okay. This is about the send. Quickly, let me also talk about the receive.
No. I want to point out my most loved feature of this thing. Do send HM. So now for people that use SDK perf, people that use the Try Me, one of the things you might notice is that both of those things send only a bytes message, a binary attachment with no formatting in it. And if you're a JMS person, or if you've used Solace APIs before, you'll know that we have also a text message and a map message or a stream message, which are SDTs, but we also have a text message. And if you're publishing with MQTT, and you specify that it is like a structured data, it'll automatically convert it. So text message is a very useful way to exchange UTF-8 strings, and neither SDK perf nor the Try Me, as of today, maybe Shweta is going to add this, sends a text message. And so Giri's tool, which I think is super useful, and I use this recently, actually, with some colleagues last week. You have the ability to change the payload type. So you can either send a string as a bytes message, or you can send a string as a text message. And the text message is slightly different in that there is some encoding bytes around that string, and it automatically formats it as UTF-8. So I think it's near the top there. Yeah, payload type. There it is, text or bytes. The default's a text message. And that is, yeah, I think that's really useful. Obviously, you can see all the other crazy features and switches that Giri has put in here on the HM side, things you probably never need to worry about. Send buffer max size. Like, give me a break. I'm never going to tweak that unless I'm doing 10,000 messages a second, right? But
I agree.
But like adding TTL, adding the DMQ, like these are all, sorry, I'm pointing at the screen, but obviously you can't see where I'm pointing, but there are, check it out. Just like, look through the help, the -H, -HM, and it doesn't have every bell and whistle under the sun like SDK Perf does, but that's not the point. Like Giri built a tool here to make it usable for the most important features that Solace users, developers, and testers will probably want to try.
And we do have support for partition keys. If you're testing a partition key distribution, you can specify the key count. It'll generate random keys, or you specify the keys as a command line argument. So something handy. It's not meant for production testing, rather something quickly you want to demonstrate and then see the feature in action. Right?
Yeah.
So
the useful ones for me, like I would say, is like payload type, text message, bytes, TTL, DMQ, maybe user properties.
Yes.
Delivery mode, if I want to do guaranteed or direct. And those would probably be pretty much everything under that second advanced message settings. Those are the important ones. Everything else after that is a little bit more unusual, but
I agree. If you have a need, you can tap into it. Otherwise, it's there. Just keep in mind. That's all. Right?
Yep.
So one example that I want to show is, go ahead. I want to talk about the
Sorry, Gary.
So you talked about okay, I will do this. So I'm going to stick with the custom topics, moving away from the store apps. So I am subscribing to an event on topic file/star. All right.
Okay.
So I'm publishing on this window a file, JSON file, test.json, and I want to send it out. Bytes. Just the one that you referred to, right?
So this is just this is just taking the string and just inserting it as the attachment, right? No additional formatting. So
nope.
Yep.
Right. It goes out as a binary, received as binary. But as you mentioned, I'm sending a JSON file, right?
Yep.
So if I take out the bytes, let's see what happens.
Default is text, right? So it should be.
That is correct. Default
should be. Hey.
Right. So I want to send, say, a topic XML.
Yep.
So we know we won't get anything on the other side. Oh,
can you zoom in? Just zoom in a few clicks, because I think we can probably. Oh, that's nice. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That looks like XML to me.
Yes, it is. So this time, what if I want to subscribe to the two different topics? You can provide multiple subscriptions.
Oh, just space them after each other. Okay.
That's right. Right. So you can see it's subscribing to these two distinct topics if you don't want to. Now I'm publishing an XML file.
Yep.
There we go.
Right? What if it's not well formed? Do you do validation, or do you just print it out? Like if it was missing a bracket somewhere, would your parser still print it, or
the prettifying fails? If it's a malformed or invalid XML, then I just print it as it is.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Right. Okay, so that's one part
cool.
that could be useful, sending files. And there's one popular pattern in our event-driven architecture, fan out, right? It's all about a publisher streaming a bunch of events, and subscribers should be getting their respective events based on their subscriptions. Where subscribers should be getting events based on their subscription, whether they use wildcard or not. So over here, I'm going to use this simple one, Acme console text. Acme console text. That's a topic I'm operating on.
Too small. No, there's no way I can read that.
Right. I did, but it keeps changing. I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry. And your consoles resize when you zoom in. That's crazy. All right.
Now better?
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
Okay, so I'm going to start these receivers. They're all subscribing to the same topic.
They're all receivers on the same topic. Yeah, okay, got it.
I'm sending a message as a command line parameter. So you can see here, hello, sending this message from a command line, rather parameter. Now,
they should all get it, right?
Yeah, they got it, right?
Yeah. No, nobody got it.
Okay, did I mess up something? Okay, let me go back and check. I have stdin here.
Oh yeah, some interesting. That's probably when you zoom in and out of consoles. Sometimes the text gets a little mangled.
Yeah. Okay, now everybody got it, right?
Hey,
so
there we go. Yep. So publish, subscribe.
Simple one.
Yep.
And what if I want to do something different? We already showed the file one, right? So stdin. I want to type in my command.
So the difference between standard in and -m for message is just the message is on the command line, and this is once the app starts, you can then just blah, 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 or paste in something, right? So
yes, when you want to control the payload or something. So this is a fan out thing, but obviously you can revert this. Three publishers publishing 3 different topics, and 1 subscriber subscribing to multiple topics. That's a fan in, right? So this tool kind of demonstrates simple the message exchange patterns. Obviously, there's also request reply. That's straightforward. There's nothing to show. You send in a request, and replier receives it and sends back a response, right? I want to focus on the parameter that makes rather, okay, I'm going to do the same thing here. Makes sense from a real world usage. Yep.
Let's be aware of the time, Giri. We're nearing the top of the hour here, so let's do this. Is this the last best thing, or do you want to show one last best thing?
This is the last thing.
All right, cool.
And then we'll open up for the questions. We cannot do justice for every aspect of this tool.
No, it's way too much. Mark and I, we tried to do SDK perf once, and I think I talked about maybe 10 different parameters out of 200, and that was the whole hour. So no, we're not expecting you to cover everything for sure.
Understood. So what you're seeing here is this subscriber running with the default output mode, right? He receives the message and he dumps the data in the default, which is nothing but the payload. Okay. And over here, I started by setting the output mode to be props. I am more interested in knowing the properties, right? So what happens here? It captures and dumps all the properties pertaining to the message and just output the size of the payload. That's about it, right? And when I do full, you get to see everything, properties and the payload, something that you may want to utilize just to keep the console not flooded, right?
That's right. That's right.
Interesting to see the, that's about it. But going back here, we saw the parameters, but don't have to worry, use the help examples or fall back to this documentation. It has been documented everywhere. Parameters.
Oh, that's cool. Is that auto-generated, or did you type all this out yourself? Wow, it's got a little, it's clicky. Yes, that's cool. Whoa.
So everything available. So is examples. So you don't have to use the tool to get to know what each one is about.
That is cool, man. You got to show me how to do that, because I got to do some documentation for my tool, my pretty dumb tool. That was pretty sweet. Yeah.
So we just focus on the messaging aspect of STM, but it has a scope beyond the STM. That's where this feed starts from, right? So we'll talk about that later. I'm happy to take questions. Aaron, any expert opinions, questions?
There's a few comments I'm going to get to here on the chat in just a second, but yeah, I do want to say, like, please go to the GitHub, download this, try it out. The feed generators, like, which I hope again we'll cover at some point soon, is very cool. You go to the event portal, design yourself an async API document, your events, or import it from somewhere else, and Giri's tool here can take that async API spec and build you a feed. And then you can customize the type of data that goes into that feed. We got, what's it called? Random JS? No. Faker.js to generate kind of reasonable looking fake data, right? And that's very cool. We'll show it later. We will definitely do. Yeah. It's up there. You can see right at the top, like feed.contribute, STM feed stuff. So let's blast through a few. Let's blast through these comments here. Mark's got the scrolly back up. Ability to define partition keys is one of my favorite parameters. All right, that's cool. Mark must be doing a lot of partition queue stuff. Comment from Carol here. It's funny how every time I join the Solace software, it shows there's only 30 minutes in my calendar, but it never. Where is it 30 minutes? I don't think I've ever done anything in my life that's been under 30 minutes. I talk too much. So thanks for the show, Tell. I have to run. All right, cool. Thanks, Carol, for joining. That's great. It always goes past. Yeah, see? Yeah, I talk too much. So Mark and Carol are just having a chat here. So, all right. Thank you for the comments there. Mostly the two of you. Giri, hey, Shweta, if you're back there, do you want to come back and say hello? And we'll kind of wrap this up here. I'm going to add her to the stage in just a second. Giri, yeah, no comments specifically. We had a few comments, but no questions there. But Shweta, hello, welcome back.
Yeah, that is a great tool, Giri. Like a lot of things to actually learn from it while we use it.
I think like it's been evolving. You know, it started off as a very basic little publish subscribe app, and now it's like, all right, now we got this whole feeds thing, this whole framework. You can generate, it can actually host the web service on the side, and it's just growing. It's not going to be Solace Try Me anymore. It's going to be Solace dominating the universe app. I don't know. That's not a good name. Anyway, hey, we got a comment from Nick. Thanks very much. No, thank you very much. And thank you to everybody for tuning in and watching us live or watching us on the replay. We do these once a month. Giri and Shweta, thank you very much for joining me and helping me out. Any last words before we sign off here?
Awesome, Aaron. Thanks very much for hosting me especially. I'm so excited to show off this tool and so excited to follow up with the feeds later. Thanks for hosting me here.
You're welcome. Yep.
Yeah, for me, like very similar comments. Thanks for hosting, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to show. Sometimes small things make a big difference, and I think this is one of it.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you both. And thank you all for joining. Be sure to check out EDASummit.com. My hands that way? No, that way. I don't know. That way. Check out EDASummit.com. Register for it. It's in December. Go to check out the Try Me within the PubSub Plus Manager, and be sure to Google STM Solace Try Me console. Check it out. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next month. I think I'm going to be doing a presentation on our micro integrations strategy for building a distributed integration mesh. So yeah, thanks for joining. See you later. Okay, bye.
Bye.